pleasure once again to be with one of my favorite people, a guy I consider one of my best friends, forget sports. You guys know him, the head coach, University of Tennessee. I just know him as my very good buddy, the great Butch Jones. Butch, thanks for your time, my friend.
Hondo, welcome to Saugatuck.
It's beautiful. It's so good to be here with you. You know, I want to go over something. And you and I talk all the time, but it's as friends. We don't get into a lot of football. But I want to talk a little football if you don't mind. Butch, when I did my research, listen to what stands out to me. In the last 19 games, Tennessee is 15-4. Think about that one. 100% graduation rate the last 2 years. You guys are, think about this one. This is just blows my mind. 3 programs in the SEC in the last 2 years have won 9 games. You're one of them. 67 of your players have a grade point average or 3-point or higher. And you're the second winningest team in the SEC in the last couple of years. Butch, those are phenomenal numbers. And I know you. You're driven. You are go at it all the time. You never take a break. Are you able to appreciate that kind of success? Because I don't think you even stop and realize what you've done.
Well, you bring up an interesting point. First of all, you talk about being driven. We talk in our football program all the time. We don't want motivated people. We want driven people, because motivation comes and goes. But if you're a driven individual, a driven program, you're always striving to be the best version of you of your program. And we're chasing greatness every day. But I do think there comes a point in time where you have to step back and you have to celebrate the successes. And it all starts with our players. Our players have done a remarkable job, and it's one thing to build a culture, it's another thing to rebuild a culture. And we've been able to do that, and a lot of people have had a hand in that foundation, starting with our players and our coaching staff. And we have that culture in place now where we expect to be the best at everything we do, whether it's on the field, in the community, or in the classroom. So we do step back, but yet we're not satisfied. We still have a long ways to go in our football program, but I do think there comes a point in time where you do have to celebrate the successes that you had, because that only drives you to want more.
You know, as your friend, you know, because I'll text you after games or we'll talk. That's one thing, because I'm so in it for you that when I stopped and looked, I'm like, wow, I'm his friend. And I didn't even realize all that. It was just amazing to me. I want to talk about you and how you've changed, in my opinion. You have 2 of the best coordinators in America. I don't care, any school, any conference, Big Ten, SEC, ACC, you got 2 of the best in America. And it's allowed you to kind of take a different role. You've now become the CEO of Tennessee football. You're still the same Butch, but it's allowed you, I think, to become a better coach. Am I reading that right?
Well, everything, Hondo, is about your staff. Is surrounding yourself with great people, great men, great teachers, great mentors. And we've been able to do that. And as a head football coach, I think in today's world of college football, you have to be a CEO. I'm responsible for anything and everything in our football program, from the academics to the community to everything that we do on the field. And it's also it's mentoring our players and being father figures, and we talk about being a family. So there's so much of that. And I really, ever since I've been a head coach, I enjoy that aspect of it. I'm a people person. I love studying human nature, but it helps when you have a very, very strong staff. And we've been able to assemble a staff that I think has future head coaches. And that's what I want, is I want to be challenged as well as a head football coach. We talk about being a better version of you each and every day. I want to be able to bounce ideas off of these individuals that have sat in that chair. They understand. And then I think it also helps mold the younger coaches on the staff too, to develop them into future head coaches as well.
But specifically for you, how has it made you better? Because I know where your points of emphasis are, your coaching background. Does it give you more time there? How does it make Butch different?
I think it gives me more time to really do what I love best, and that's get around our players. And everything, again, is about the culture, which we just spoke about, but also your style of play. And I'm really big into style of play. Is when people come watch Tennessee football, what do they see? And that stems back from our Central Michigan days of, you know, why do we do some of the things that we do? And everything is about effort and a toughness from an execution standpoint as well. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I love being around the players. One of my favorite times of the day is being in the locker room. at about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon when they're walking in. And I can tell, who needs a hug, who's had a good day, who's had a bad day, and really developing those relationships. Don't get me wrong, I love the football aspect of it, but I just like to be involved in all facets of our program.
When you made your comments about champions in life, anyone who knows you, I think was, yep, that's Butch. I remember being in your locker rooms with you. I remember waiting for you because you were in the, I won't mention the player, but I remember being in the locker room with you, walking out with your player with an arm around the player who was crying. They just found out his mom was sick. I mean, I think that's your biggest strength, is relationship, and that you develop with players. Am I right, Butch?
Well, you're right. We always talk about football's life just sped up a lot faster. Right. And that's what it's all about. And the champions of life, really, it's been formulated from talking to a number of different head coaches, from Bill Belichick to a number of individuals that have been successful in our profession, not just from the football aspect of it. And again, these are still 17 to 21, 22-year-old young adults that we're mentoring in the biggest game, and that's the game of life. So again, we talk about that. And one of the greatest things I had basically 2 days ago on vacation is I had a father text me the picture of his son's diploma. And he talked about being champions of life, and this son is also signed with the New England Patriots and is in an NFL camp right now as well. And to me, that's what it's all about, is excelling in everything that you do.
I want to go back to the first interview I did with you. Of course, I knew you before then, but you may remember walking in that TV studio.
I do.
And you said something to me I'll never forget. We were on commercial break, and you said to me, because I remember I told you about 100 times, you said, Hondo, if I'm ever going to make it as a head coach in this business, I can never make it bigger than my players. In Butch, you said that you hadn't coached a game. I don't even think you'd met the team yet when you met with me that day. And I don't care, it followed you, whether it was at Cincinnati or at Central, and now in the SEC at one of the best programs in America. That's still Butch from Saugatuck, and I think that's your bedrock. Am I wrong?
Well, that's what it's all about. Again, it's the people are the foundation for success. They're the foundation, and it starts with our players, but it's also surrounding them with the means that they can meet their full potential. That's why the coaching staff is so important. That's why Stephanie Horvath, our nutritionist, is so important. That's why Rock Gullickson in the weight room is so important. One of the exciting things that we'll have when we get back to Knoxville is we'll have an entire organizational meeting, and everyone that impacts our players will be in there, and we make sure we go over the goals, the standards, the expectations of our football program. We have weekly meetings with these individuals that oversee all the areas that develop our players, because that's what it's all about. Are our players. They are the foundation of Tennessee football.
And I think that goes back to your being a CEO now. You're able to worry more about those ancillary things because you're not as having to be, oh my gosh, is everything right on the plans? I think that makes you better, Butch.
Well, also, I think, you talk about positive leadership, and John Gordon's a great friend of mine, and I'm reading one of his many books, The Art of Positive Leadership, and everything that goes into it. And we always talk about everybody has to be invested, and we talk about a term called all aligned. Everybody has to be all aligned, no matter where you go in our building, from the receptionist to the custodial staff, to our coaching staff, to our videography department. It doesn't matter, our Evolve for Life. If you ask them a question, Hondo, they should answer it the exact same way. And that's when you know you have a great culture in place, and I'm proud of what we have.
You just mentioned Coach Gullickson, which I think, in my opinion, was a brilliant hire. In fact, I don't mean this as any disrespect to your staff. You got two of the best coordinators in America, but you also have one of the best strength and conditioning coaches. Unfortunately, we in the media don't do a good job of it at any level. But the fans don't see the 4:45 a.m. workouts with Coach Gullickson and the players. When you line up against Georgia Tech, he's going to have made a huge impact on this program. But for fans who don't get to see those workouts, how are they going to notice right away his impact on this team?
Well, he has impacted our football program immediately. You look at an individual who's been in the National Football League for 17 years. He's trained the best of the best. He was in my wedding, so he's a great friend of mine, but I've had a tremendous amount of respect for him and just his daily dealings with their players. from a motivational standpoint. He can relate to them. He knows how to talk with them, and the staff around him have done a remarkable job as well. But we've really concentrated on explosion, and we needed to improve our overall strength level. And our players have done a great job of breaking all kinds of program records, individual records this summer, and that again goes back to him, his staff, but also our players.